Because if you're a random person, you might be thinking there's not enough there to get you.
Let's just check the last after he's told her.
Yes, sir. Another question, and it was done, I think, while they were watching.
Oh.
So it is question number 4. So we're not at ease. And it says, to judge, jury requests to view State's Exhibit 167. Do we know what that is?
I don't recall off the top of my
I don't either.
That is.
Okay. Before I call them back out and present 167, it may be something that needs to be done here. Let's take a look at what that is first.
This Alderman believes it's one of the crime lab reports.
Okay. Let's take a look at it, make sure we know what it is.
Why is it not live anymore?
They do seem to have a lot of questions. But honestly, I'd rather have them ask questions than try to argue among themselves.
Yeah. Oh, there it jumped. Okay, we are 15 minutes behind again. Okay, what is evidence number 160? I recognize it.
Yeah.
And they cut the sound.
What is 160?
We do.
Okay. And what is 167?
DNA report from May 2nd, 2024.
All right. State agrees. That's what. All right.
DNA report from May
Any,
2nd,
comment on
2024.
having
That
a jury
is
come out to review 167.
house DNA, but I thought they already got the DNA
Yes,
report.
Your Honor. Yesterday we
Yeah,
had
that's-
the jury come out and all look at it kind of individually. I did do a little bit of research last night, and there is some case law. I'd have to find it again that would stand for the proposition that this does not violate continuing witness concerns, and it could just go back. And if you could give me 5-10 minutes.
I would disagree. The reason it violates continuing witness is because they had the expert testify based on this document or the contents of this document. They would have introduced the document without testimony regarding the document. It would not violate continuing witness. But the testimony was pretty much what was on the document, and that's the reason it violates the continuing witness.
I'll take a look at the case law, but for now, they've just asked to see it, and I'm going to bring them out. So as long as we have an agreement on what 167 is, I'm going to bring them out. Actually, if you'll hand it to me first, let me just make sure I've taken a look at it. All right. If you could bring the jury out, please. Thank you.
The May 2nd DNA report. I wonder if that contains both Faust and Melton DNA.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought that reports weren't evidence. So you could listen to the testimony of the expert, but their report was considered work product.
Yeah, that is my understanding as well, but not in this trial.
Okay. I mean, because I'm not a lawyer, and
No,
I always
well,
make
this
it
is
clear.
this is a DNA report, so it's not the same as a summary from an
Okay.
investigator. Oh, it's the one that had 3 DNA on it. Thank you, Polly.
Thank you.
Or Paula E. I'm so.
I love that we picked this job, and then we're like, oh, we can't read. Jen, we are currently watching jury question 4. They want the DNA report with 3 people on it.
Asked to
Yeah.
see 167. You all may be seated. Thank you. And the answer to that is yes. And I'm going to give this to our bailiff, Mr. Terrell. And you can look at it as you did yesterday. Just pass it along when you're finished. There is another question from you all, which I'm going to label number 5. And I will handle that in just a moment. Thank you.
The DNA report with both of them on it would be the actual mouth. But I'm not sure. No, because I don't recall exactly which ones had Tara's DNA on it. But I do know that the one with just Faust on, which was the supposed VAD swap that didn't have Mr. Milton's on it, didn't also have Tara's on it,
That's
which is
odd.
really, really odd.
Again, with how small his sample size was, or the sample that included his DNA, you would have thought that she would be the main contributor.
Yeah, you would imagine that all 3 swabs from her would be her as a majority contributor.
Well, especially with all the violence that they say that she was attacked with in those areas, you would think that there would be blood and tearing and things like that
Yeah,
would obscure a very small sample.
yeah. Lawcon, the jury should ask for all the envelopes, all of them. Yeah, you will find out soon enough that there are empty evidence bags admitted into evidence by the state. And when the defense says, and I'm quite certain the defense knew this beforehand.
Probably.
Yeah. So not only were because they presented the evidence bags with this witness. Yes, this is the evidence bag I used for these hairs and stuff. And they were sealed. Why would they reseal an empty evidence bag?
Why would they?
And the prosecution, no, that's not necessary. So
Well, also, why, if the screen was found on the, excuse me, on the lawn, why wouldn't you film or take a photograph of both where it was and then
Yeah.
you matched it up to the window?
Yeah. And then the picture they do have, the screen is on. No,
Yeah, and it
nobody's.
wasn't
Yeah.
pride enough that
Yeah. And they still lost it. When they went looking for this window screen in the evidence locker, it was gone. 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 How the fuck do you lose an entire window screen?
well, also, what happened to the oven knobs? Did anyone swab those?
Yeah. Those would have been excellent. Where are the swabs from the doorknobs? Where are the fingerprint analysis from the doorknobs?
What about the printer? I mean, I know that room was pretty well fired, but if you get a cord from the printer, maybe you had to hold the printer, yank the cord off. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just an armchair detective and I've thought of these things.
Yeah, with this much lost and cracks but as the judge said on one occasion, this is a cold case. All of this is circumstantial. It has gone as over 2 decades, yada yada yada, implying she was lowering the standards of evidence because it's a cold case.
No.
I realize we are 15 minutes behind, so we can speed this up. Let's see here. No, they're not talking. Yeah, every single juror have to actually read the report.
They couldn't have made copies?
No, since it's in evidence, they can't.
Fair point.
They were supposedly sent to the lab, opened. The hairs and everything were placed on, the glass sheets and everything. And according to me, what should have happened was these glass slides and everything should have been sealed up properly. And then with the evidence bag opened should have been in this new evidence bag. And it wasn't. Which, okay, that is a problem, because all of a sudden, well, how do we know the thing you took from that bag actually went on that slide?
Yeah, and that's the thing. You should know as a prosecutor going in that with a cold case, you're already going to be dealing with witnesses who may have forgotten things. You should want your case, tacked down to the best of your ability. You shouldn't want anyone to say, I don't know, we figure it happened this way. You want to take away a man's freedom. And I get that, Mr. Faust is not Lily Clean or, Sterling and has a criminal history. But just because you have been found and convicted of other crimes doesn't mean you're guilty automatically of this crime.
No. And I saw it in chat earlier that he has some kind of arrest for indecent exposure. Yeah, do you know what you get indecent exposure for? Taking a leak in the public or against a wall. It doesn't actually have to be no. So we don't know what actually was going on.
I don't know. I've seen this in 2 Georgia cold case trials. I think they were hoping that, kind of the thought that they were finding the monster that did these. They figured it was going to carry the day despite having very bad evidence, poor witnesses, and things like that. If you want to see another really upsetting case, now he was found not guilty, but the Chris Wolfenberger case is very similar to this. It's also from Georgia, and it was a cold case as well. And it was similarly poorly prepared. Now, I will say the state in the first day that I've watched hasn't been as poorly prepared as that state team was, but that was, I believe, Miss Adrienne Love and someone else.
Maybe not. The evidence was always not good. Had they retest what they had. Once they had the DNA, they never retested the hair or tested the hair at all. I mean, I don't even know if the pubic hair found on Tara's butt, if they actually tested it for mitochondrial DNA to rule out. The examination of all the hairs was done by a person with a microscope that said this is consistent with other samples. With known, and here's the thing: all of them were Caucasian. And I said this on my show. Look up here. It's thinning. It's brittle. It's gray because I'm old as fuck. Compare the hair up here with this. Mostly from the back of my head. This is strong. There even is some color still on it. So it depends. If you pick a hair from up here and a hair from the neck, or the angel hair you have up here, you get different results because it's different. Because, say it with me, hair analysis is a shit science.
Yeah, but if they're so sure that it's a Caucasian hair, you would think that they would test it because you would know any defense, should you bring an African American, is going to bring up that she had. So you're telling
Ladies
me
and gentlemen,
that
I'm going to also instruct you, as I did yesterday 2 times. I'm going to give you the same instruction, that I'm going to caution you and remind you to consider the whole of the evidence and to refrain from giving greater emphasis to any evidence you may have heard twice. I'm going to ask you to go back into the jury room and continue your deliberations. But I do have question number
had
5
to be
from our foreperson.
reminded
So
to
if I
do
can see the
this
foreperson
when
up
it
front
came
just for a
to
moment. Thank you very much.
this part. Because they thought this is bad for Mr. Faust.
yeah, I mean, I do find the DNA to be
All right. Adam Foreperson, your
To be
question
odd.
is, how do we manage lunch today? Great question. So I guess the preference is going to be yours. I certainly can order lunch in, which I typically do for juries. If you all want a break, I will give you a lunch break to go outside. So I'm going to ask you. Absolutely. Yes. All right. Y'all may be seated. Thank you.
I love a jury that asks about lunch.
Yeah.
Step right up to the miracle station. We've got justice in a jar on sale. Wave a lab coat, sprinkle Latin, sign your name, then set that scale. Look, a scratch on a screwdriver. Look, a pattern on a shell. Call it tool mark analysis, baby. That's how they send you to a cell. It's a shit science and you know it, but they sell it with a wink and a grin. Draw a line, call it math. Write a number on a latch, then they swear that the truth's locked in. Shit science. Chauvin's in a lab coat. Give the jury one more magic trick to quote. They clap, they sigh while a life goes by. On a shit science song and dance they buy. Open wide, says the expert smiling. Let me measure every jagged tooth. Bite mark analysis on a bruise in a photo. They announce they've discovered the truth. Here's a cheat, here's a mole, here's a slideshow. Turn the guess into gospel on a screen. They don't mention all the bodies that this carnival left in between. It's a shit science, and you know it, but they built it like 11 o'clock tune. They project, they breathe, they perform on the stand while a family waits for a June. It's a shit science, glitter on a gravestone. They make certainty from shadows alone. They rhyme might with must, turn maybe to must on a shit science chorus of trust. Here's a hair in a plastic packet, microscopic match. They shout on cue, they compare, they declare from a single little strand, like a crystal ball come true. Then a tape in a humming courtroom. Listen close. Do you hear that line? Voice print and Alice on a squiggle in a graph. They pretend it's a fingerprint sign. And you know it. Still they stage it with a spotlight glow. Every chart, every slide, just a confidence ride. But the stakes are too high for this show. It's a shit science curtain call 'em bad odds. It's time to tear down this cardboard facade. Cause a man can lose his life to a catchy little lie from a shit science song that we let fly.
I'm having
love that-
I'm having way too much fun with making